Hello flosstube, welcome. This is AM Dreamingstitcher. I am filming on Sunday, March 21st. This is the third Sunday of the month for no better reason than when I first started filming a few years ago. That's the day I happened to be doing it, so I'm trying to be consistent about it now that I'm back to filming. I don't know that that's really the best idea because I've noticed recently, especially, that the days I post seem to coincide with many of the most popular flosstubers also posting, so of course everyone's going out to watch their wonderful videos and it doesn't leave a whole lot left over for me, but I do appreciate it if you have stopped by. It's not like I have anything real exciting to see anyway, but it's kind of you to take time out of your day to see what I have been up to. So if you have watched my more recent videos, you may recall that since November I've been trying to drill it into my head just how long stitching takes, in part to kill my shopping addiction. I need to stop buying things that I will never have time to finish. And by taking the time to take one piece and stitch it through from start to finish, it's really ingraining in me how long stitching takes. You can fool yourself by doing a lot of different pieces and rotating through. You can have 100 whips or more, but the stitching of any individual piece is still going to take just as long as it's going to take. And when you add them all up together, it's going to take just as many hours, whether you do them in rotation or one at a time, it doesn't matter. In my case, because I do have a bad habit of buying things I can't ever get done, I need to really make myself understand that life is finite. There will not be time to finish them all. I need to stop throwing away money when I have all that I want to stitch here already. So the piece I was supposed to work on this month, you might have caught that, was this Busilla stamped cross stitch wedding sampler. It is my oldest whip. It also happens to be stamped cross stitch, as in not on an even weave fabric, but on cotton instead, with a printed design that shows you where to put the X's. This one's mostly in blue, but there's some green too to help out a little bit to differentiate what you're working on. This is a very old one, so if you like the piece, I don't think you can get the stamped one anymore, but happily it is available as a charted design from Cooler Design Studios. I got this particular chart from 123 Stitch, so that if you like what you're going to see, you can purchase the pattern. I got the pattern, as I mentioned in my last video, so that I would be able to make DMC substitutions if I ran out of any flosses. I have not run out so far, but I did get down on one of the grays to, I think I have one stitch left in an odd spot that I need to get to, and I have about that much floss left, a little length of floss. So it's more than enough for one stitch, but it's pretty close to running out. I did work on this, but I didn't work on it exclusively. I actually have a couple of finishes to show you today that are small pieces, but that didn't stop me from trying this one. The problem is I just don't enjoy this stamped cross stitch, which might lead you to say, why do you keep working on it then if you want to stitch so many other things? Well, I'll talk about that in a minute, but let's just show you what I have gotten done. So, last time I showed it to you, I was up at the top of the piece and trying to plug in a lot of empty spaces and holes that I still had in some of those flowers. And I had worked a little bit down the side. I think I was in the little bit of that stained glass panel there. I have filled in, other than backstitching, everything from there on up, down to about 40% of the piece. So I'm going to open it out a little bit more for you so you can see the full length. And since I've stitched to about here from the top down, I need to finish the flowers on this side, but I've already done the one on that side. That's about 5 inches out of 12, that's about 40%. So, not counting the back stitching, that's pretty good, but I didn't stop there. I actually moved on down the piece and have completely filled in the gray and yellow on the sides all the way to the bottom. I've started some of the bottom stitching there in those little circles, and I've filled in lots of these panels of stained glass. I think I've hit nearly all of them. The color's not real great there for you to see, but they're all kind of shades of teal or turquoise, if you want to call it, and I have filled them in. So overall, as far as the total amount of cross stitching goes, I've done more than 40%. I've done 40% down from the top, plus a lot of stuff at the bottom, and some backstitch. At the risk of showing you a really messy back, you can see there's some backstitching down at the top there. The reason it's taking so long and the reason I didn't work all the way through is I really just don't have much fun stitching on this. The way I motivate myself is not the best way. You know, I spend too much on different things when I get obsessed with them. I went to eBay and bought several reasonably priced sets of Time Life CDs, things like big band music, which I love, some easy listening stuff, things like that, instrumentals, so that I can put a disc in and listen to it while I stitch. Now, I don't normally do that. I'm not usually a watch the TV and stitch or do something else and stitch kind of cross stitcher, but I need that music in my brain at least some of the time while I'm stitching to get me through working on this piece. I'm sorry, it's going to be beautiful when it's done. So as I said a little earlier, why keep working on it if I'm not enjoying it? I am not. Sometimes people ask, are you a progress stitcher? I mean, just in general, they ask any floss tuber, are you a progress stitcher or a process stitcher? And I enjoy the process. The process is very relaxing. Some pieces I like less than others. Some pieces are kind of torture to stitch, and I don't like to think about them when they're too complex and so on. But really, I'm kind of a goal stitcher. Goal as in finishing that piece and seeing it done. I want to see this piece done. I've been working on it forever. I really want to do it. I'm just not enjoying doing it, but I really want to do it. I'm not going to give it up entirely. The backstitching is going to be a nightmare because everything you see in black has to be backstitched. But I'm going to persevere. The thing is, I just didn't persevere this month because it was too... I suffer working on that piece. I'm sorry, it's true. I do. But it's coming out. It's coming along. I like what I see there. I'm happy with the progress so far. I feel like the back stitching itself is a little fuzzy looking. It's not as crisp as the black printing. I've done some along that edge, for example. And it is, by the way, kind of hard to back stitch with charcoal colored thread over black lines. It's a little hard to see what you're doing. But it's progressing. It's coming along, even if it does look a little fuzzy when you do it. But that's going to take forever. That's one reason I think I was discouraged and didn't work it straight through, is because I know it's going to take all month. I mean, more than a month. It's going to take... I'm going to be on that one for a while. So I think I'm going to kind of put it on the back burner and work it while working other things, which is what happened this past month. So one of the things that I finished, I have two finishes to show you, was this little sun god design from NP Designs. That's the Southwest folks that I am obsessed with. I got this one off of eBay. It was evidently sold at the one of the tourist shops at Mesa Verde. I haven't been there myself. It'd be a nice place to go, but I got it secondhand from eBay. And he was in progress the last time I came to see you, and I now have a finish. By the way, I understand my light is rather strange today, but I'm trying to get natural light from the window if I can, because the artificial light just isn't going to cut it today. It's a little too gloomy. But there we go. He's all done. He's a small piece, but he's finished. Thank the Lord for small pieces, because I probably, it encourages me with all that I have to stitch and want to stitch to know that at least I can get some of them done. I can get some of the little ones done. I can get more of the little ones done than I can anything else. That's not the only one I worked on, by the way. I turned to that one as a relief from the wedding sampler, and then I pulled out because, I was shopping. Shouldn't be shopping, but I was shopping. I went to 123 Stitch. I have a small order to show you from there. But one of the things I was considering from them was a panda kit. And I have other panda kits, but I haven't actually stitched one yet, or hadn't at that point. So I thought I need to pull out one of my little ones and see whether these are actually, enjoyable to stitch, easy to stitch, before I go buying another one. So the one I pulled out, boy, there's a lot of crinkling there. I've noticed there's a little there, so I'm going to go ahead and take him out. I have lots of floss left, by the way. I pulled out this golden frog. He's available in a number of different places. I think you can get him at 123 Stitch, at My Bobbin, on eBay, probably Amazon, I don't know, a lot of places. So I just recently did that Clark kit, which is also a Russian kit from, did I get that one at My Bobbin? No, I got that one at 123 Stitch. And I used it to help me out a little bit. I noticed there was a review, either for this one or a similar one, at 123 Stitch, where there was a complaint that it was, the color names were in Russian, which made it difficult, I guess, for that stitcher. So I did look at the color list, and I used my Clark color list, which had colors in English as well as Russian, to figure out the names of some of these colors. These, again, were my leftovers. And then I went online and did a search for Russian English translator so that I could go ahead and get names for all the colors. I didn't think it was necessary. I wasn't sure how important it was, but it actually, I did find helpful when I started. Once I got into the stitching, then I was just paying attention to the numbers and the symbols, and the color name was irrelevant. But for the initial stitching, it kind of added some confidence or some ability to relate to what I was stitching, to know what the colors were called. So just to show you, some of them, like the yellow, there was lots of yellow in my Clark kit, so it was really easy to see that this Gelti is yellow. The Clark kit also used some abbreviations, which was very helpful, because otherwise I would have no idea what this is. But it means pale. The BL there means pale, and SV means light, and so on. T is for dark. I think it stands for Temno or something. So I was able to figure out the abbreviations. The other things, as I said, I searched for a Russian English translator online, and I found one that had let you enter Cyrillic characters. So I put in my Cyrillic characters, and I figured out most of the names of the colors. There were some that were a little tricky. That second one apparently means red hair. And it doesn't mean auburn, it means red hair. It could maybe mean carroty, but it's not the Russian word for carrot. So I looked at various different synonyms and translators and found one that called that rufous, and that made me more comfortable, because to me rufous is more of a color than red hair. But anyway, so we had different yellows and greens and lights and darks, and I was able to come up with names for almost everything. There was a pink in here with an abbreviation GR, Gamma Rho. I don't know what the names of the actual Russian letters are, but I have no idea what that abbreviation means. I could not figure that one out. So it's some kind of pink. Pink. I don't know what. And I got all the way to the bottom of the list. They were easy to figure out. There's another abbreviation that was not used in the Clark kit. Ocha. I decided that probably means Ochin. I did study Russian 35 years ago and don't remember more than about an hour's worth out of all the study I did. But my teacher would often say in class when we were doing things well, she'd say, очень хорошо, which is something like very good. So I think that this is for very, because then you end up with things like very dark brown, very dark green. I mean, that just made sense to me. So I think that's what that abbreviation is. Anyway, I did name all the colors before I started so that I would be more comfortable stitching it. And I stitched away, and he's all done. Okay, again, because he's small. Smalls are actually possible to do. And that's kind of encouraging, because I will never finish all the things I have to stitch, but I can at least finish some of the small ones. How small? He's 70 by 70, I believe. That's the stitch count. So he's a nice little fellow. I like him. And I did not find it at all difficult to follow the chart. I probably did not need to know the names of the colors, but as I said, it gave me a little more confidence, made me happier to have the names of the colors. It made me feel that, yes, it's fine to buy more panda projects because there are no issues with stitching them at all, and regardless of whether or not they name the colors in English. Their directions, by the way, are very good and do have some English. Just to show you, they're very similar to the Clark kit that I showed you last month, but they'll have an image of what they're talking about, and you can usually figure it out from that, like find the center of your piece, use a hoop for your stitching, separate your threads, secure it in the back, don't carry across long distances. I mean, the pictures tell you what you need to know, but in English they also tell you. So for that one about don't carry, it says avoid long stitches on the wrong side of the fabric. So they do have enough directions in English to help you out. They have a little stitch guide. I can definitely recommend them. So one of the things I purchased, because that's what I'm going on to next, that's all my finishes, that's all the things I worked on this month, is I will show you what I bought. Now I did tell you I had ordered something. So let me start with the one I ordered. I told you that, if you watched last month, that is, you will recall, that Stitching and Wishing showed something in her video that I didn't know existed, and I had to buy it. So I went off to Owl Forest, which recently has been having trouble with their internet, with their website, but happily, when I ordered, it wasn't a problem. And I got this because I love dinosaurs, and when she showed hers, it was just, I have to have that. I love dinosaurs. I can't not have that. Even if I have more than I can possibly stitch in my lifetime, I still have to have that. So it came with the fabric, which is a linen of some kind, whatever count it happens to be, 32 count I think, I'm not sure. And it came with these nice flosses, different colors. And it came with something I have never ever had before in my life and don't think I need, but it's cute because it's an Archaeopteryx. It's a needle minder, teeny tiny. Never having had a needle minder, I didn't know what sizes they are, but little teeny thing. Very cute. I don't know if I'll use it as a needle minder or not. Oh, and two charts. One that looks like the whole piece and one that has it divided into sections, I guess, so that you can cut out smaller pieces and work from that if you want to. I don't know. But that took maybe a month to come because I just got it a few days ago. I told you I had ordered it in my last video, and I got it this past week. So it took at least 3 weeks. I don't know, 3-4 weeks to get here. But that was one thing. And I will stitch it at some point. I will never stitch all that I have. That's going to be a theme of this video because I want to talk about it. But that'll be at the end, so you don't have to listen if you don't want to. I'll just show you the other things I bought in the meantime. So one reason for my 1, 2, 3 stitch order was I wanted some green fabric. And I have a bucket list start that I may have talked about in the past, not anytime recently, that calls for hunter green. And the only pieces of hunter green I could get were old Charles Craft pieces that were 15 by 18 inches. And really, to be comfortable with the margin for the piece I want to do, it should be at least 16 by whatever. And so I really was just not happy at how tiny the margin was going to be if I stitched it. So I ordered this so that I could compare it to the hunter green, because this, as you can see, is called forest green. And I'd never had any forest green before, so I didn't know how they compare. And I lined it up against what I had in the tube, and I decided they're close enough, it'll be okay. I didn't do a floss toss. I should have done that. But this piece is large enough, I'll have plenty of margin, and so I'm more comfortable working from this. That's one reason I ordered. The thing that got me to place an order at all was because this one, this Posy collection piece, was on clearance. And if you've watched past videos, you may know a year ago, 2019 Christmas, I did a Gila Cliff Dwellings piece as a gift, and it showed the actual cliff dwellings and a nice century plant or yucca or something in front of them and the sky, and it was a scenic piece. And I knew this one was available at the time, and I just didn't like it as well. But when they put it on clearance, with my affinity for things Southwest, I just kept looking at the little Roadrunner, and he is not as realistic as they can be. He's a little cartoonish, as is the cactus and so on, but it's just cute. And again, it's small. I hope that I don't end up buying a million small things because I know they can be done. But I went ahead and got that, and the fabric. And the panda piece that tempted me, that I had to really think about, was a place that I find really beautiful. There are a lot of different cross-stitch versions of this, but I liked the colors of the sky and the greenery and everything else. I got their Taj Mahal. I think it's a beautiful building. I haven't seen it in person. I'm sure I never will be fortunate enough to do so, but that was the most expensive thing I ordered. I probably shouldn't have gotten it. It's large. It will take a long time, but the colors are just lovely. And yeah, that was the most regrettable of my purchases, but I don't actually regret it. Not at this point. There were two more things. I told you it was kind of a small order. It was 4 cross-stitch kits and a piece of fabric. So you've seen 2 of the kits. Here was another of the kits. I've told you I love Botanicals. They had 2 different versions of this. This is from Luca S. And they had another version that was on kind of looked like a rustico fabric or an oatmeal fabric of some kind. Exactly the same plants. But I thought I liked them better on the white. I know many stitchers like to have dyed fabrics and interesting backgrounds, but I just thought the plants kind of disappeared too much on the fabric that came in the other version of this kit. I liked how crisp and clear they were on the white. So I went ahead and got the white one. And you can see a lot of lovely shades of green. This is not necessarily a small kit, but it's small motifs, which encourages me with my ability to actually stitch it in this lifetime. Is because it's just 9 little plant motifs. It's not a big solid piece like the panda. So it should be doable. Before I show you the last piece, I keep bringing up the fact that I'm not going to be able to stitch everything. I am having to face that when I take a piece and stitch all the way through it, and I see how very long it takes and how many hours of my life go into each one. And then I look at all the projects I already have, all the kits, all the charts, all the beautiful things that I so want to make. I have to face up to the reality that I'm not going to be able to make them. I did not learn to cross stitch until I was in my mid-30s. I have had 21 years now. Not quite. It's 1998. I've had 20 years and a few months to cross stitch since I took it up. I was working most of that time. You know, I've been retired now since last May, but didn't stitch for several months. I have done some stitching. I want to do more. I want to really dive into what I have. But I have to face the fact that I'm not going to live forever. None of us are going to live forever. None of us know we'll live past tomorrow. My sister said in my last conversation with her, a satellite could fall from the sky in the next 10 minutes and crush you in your house. You know, anything can happen. But when you look online for advice about how to plan for your future, especially when you reach retirement or you're thinking of what you're going to do in life, they often advise looking at the longevity tables and things like that and getting an estimate of what you can expect and kind of planning for that. You know, plan to have enough money to cover expenses for that long, for example. But all of that varies with your health, and I do have health issues, and with family. So if I were to live as long as the immediate family member that I lost in October of 2019, I would have 5 more years to live. I can't stitch much in 5 years. For those of you who are doing heaven and earth designs, they're going to take 5 years or more to do. If I only lived that long, I wouldn't even be able to do one of those pieces. If I lived as long as my mother, I would have another 27 years. Probably not going to happen because of my health issues unless I can get them under control. But 27 years is still not enough to stitch everything I have. I could work hard at it, and that's what I'm trying to do. I could get a good portion of it done. It kind of makes it, the reason I'm talking about it is it makes me sad to think that I can't do these things because I want to so much when I look at them. When you see a beautiful cross stitch piece and you long to stitch that thing, you want to know you're going to make it. And when I look at my collection, they're beautiful to look at. It's nice just to see what's possible. But a big part of me wants to see the day when I finish that thing, just like trying to finish this one that I'm struggling with. I want to see it done. I really do. I want to see every piece in my collections done, and it's not going to happen. 27 years would not do it. If I lived as long as my father, I would have 35 years to go. Now that's better. That's more reasonable. I could get more done. I still couldn't finish it all. If I lived as long as the grandmother that I knew, because my other grandmother died long before I was born, but if I lived as long as the grandmother who was part of my life, I would have a much better chance of doing the majority of my stitching because I would have another 50 years of life. I know I'm not going to have another 50 years. They just did an article in our local paper, though, about a local who turned 105, which my grandmother made it longer than that. But this lady is still crocheting. She had to give up gardening a couple of years ago, but they named a couple of the things she still does, and I figure crochet is a needle art. If she can crochet at 105, I could stitch at 105. Um, that's not going to happen. But if I had my eyesight and I didn't have crippling arthritis and I was still alive and all of those things, it's possible. So I'm going to try to approach life not buying more, but more hopeful and say you could die in the next 10 minutes or you could have another 50 years. Not going to happen, but you could. Your grandmother did. So try not to discourage myself when I pick up a piece thinking about all the ones I can't do. Because that's part of what's putting a damper on my stitching. It's the harsh reality of stitching, is that each piece I choose to do means a piece that's not going to get done because I can't do them all. So it's a trade-off. Do the little frog and some other thing isn't getting stitched. But I want to do the frog. I want to do all of them. So tell myself that, hey, you never know. Maybe you'll have 50 years. Maybe you'll get them all done. Yeah, maybe um, maybe little green men from Mars will come down and help me finish my stitching. Yeah, it's not going to happen, but I can try. I can try to stay positive about the possibilities, even when I know they are improbable. So what's the last thing that I purchased? It's nothing fancy, but it was, I thought, very reasonably priced. I thought it was very lovely. It didn't look difficult to stitch, but they all take time. It's only 7 by 9, so it's not a huge piece. It's in blues, shades of blue, and you've seen probably willow plates and other designs that are in blue and white, Dutch designs, Asian designs, different things that have that aesthetic. And I've always kind of liked that. I don't really have any pieces like that. I actually have a book that's cross-stitched in blue and white, but there aren't any pieces in there that excite me so much that I can see stitching them before stitching everything else I've got. But this I liked. It's a panda kit. It's this floral design, very folk or modern. I don't know how you would describe this one. Different shades of blue. There's the blues in the package. And it was roughly $5. How can I say no to something that's very pretty and very inexpensive? Well, I can say no because I'll never get it all stitched. But I didn't say no. I bought it. I hope to stitch it. It's just a little thing. I don't know what I'll stitch first, but I will try my best to do what I can do. I need to face reality and not buy more things because I want to stitch what I have. And as I said, each thing I stitch is something else that doesn't get stitched. But I have to be optimistic and hope that I'll be around long enough to stitch things. This stitching 3 hours a day that I've been trying to do, I'm behind a couple of days. If you add up the time from my last video to now, I'm about 5.5 hours behind. And I haven't done today's stitching, by the way. And that's mostly because of this thing not being enjoyable to do. So 5.5 hours, it's about 2 days of stitching behind out of my 4 weeks. I'll try to get back to it. But I don't know how long that will last. I set 3 hours a day kind of as a goal to see what would happen. How much stitching could you accomplish if you set aside this much time each day? Is it possible to make progress with your stitching if you do that? And I've seen kind of what's doable in that time. I've seen that it's not the only thing I want to do in my life. And the 3 hours is not 3 hours solid because you can't just sit there and stitch. I mean, you could, I suppose, sit there and stitch for 3 hours, but it's not healthy. You have to stand up, you have to move around, you have to do other things. So my 3 hours kind of takes all day if you count all the other things that I do in and around it. And I can't see getting a whole lot more than it done unless I stop watching so much stupid television in the evenings. But it's a goal. Everything's a goal. It can be changed. It can be moved. My plan, speaking of goals for the next month, would be to continue this thing. Don't expect to see it done because the backstitch alone is going to take me forever. But I will probably start on my next piece. Oh, I'm going to pause you for a moment because I want to show you what is in the works. And I am almost done here. So, okay, as far as plans, I like now and then to take a picture of my, stop that, of my whips. And so this is kind of what I have started. I just finished Little Frog. So that was what he looked like on Thursday. This is Sunday morning and I haven't done my other Sunday stitching today, but he's done now. Here's the wedding sampler. And these are things that if you've seen old videos you've seen in the past. I haven't worked on any of them lately, but I have my Land of the Dinosaurs. I have my Artiste kit, Floral Splendor I think it's called. I have my White Rabbit from Orenco. I have, this is Dimensions Gold Collection Underwater Paradise. And I have His Eyes on the Sparrow from Heartstring Samplery. And those are the things that have been started that I'm trying to get through before I tackle any more large-scale projects. I can't say I won't pull out any little ones because I may well do that. I may well pull out small ones to work on like I've been doing. But my plan, other than trying to continue this, is next one up is White Rabbit. So if he doesn't drive me crazy the way this one has been doing, over the next month you should see a lot of progress and change in him. It's kind of what he was looking like. I don't know that I can say I'll stitch him all the way through, and I won't keep that up forever, by the way. I don't think I plan to do everything always all the way through from now on. It's just trying to really ingrain in myself how long these things take. I want to get it down to where I have maybe 2 or 3 pieces, and I alternate or rotate among the 2 or 3. Obviously at the moment this is more than 2 or 3. That's if you take the frog out, that's still 6. So there's still too many. I hope to work through the rabbit. The plan after the rabbit would be Floral Splendor. I'm thinking him April and May. By the way, I'll spend the rest of March on this guy. April and May. June and July. August to the end of the year. You probably won't be done at that point, but August to the end of the year. And then in 2021 take up one of these. This is why I'll probably work on little pieces too, because the idea that these are the only things I'm going to work on for the next year is just too discouraging when I look at all the beautiful projects that I have. So I'll probably do little things while working away at these big things, even though that will mean taking longer to finish the big things. It'll make me feel a little better. So thank you for listening in to all my babbling. I will, as usual, check this video before I post it. I have a feeling it's going to be quite dull with all the talking that went on. But yeah, it could have been worse. I really could have told you all my glum and unhappy feelings about not being able to stitch all the things I want to stitch. I told you some. If you thought they were glum and unhappy, I could get much more morose about that. But I hope to stitch as many as life will let me. And I've given you some idea of what you might see in the near future. And watch for little things popping out now and then. Thank you very much for tuning in to see what I had to say, taking time out of your day to watch this video. It's makes me feel nice to know that someone else who appreciates cross-stitching can see what I've been working on, because when you have nobody in your personal life that stitches, then there's nobody to share your enthusiasm with and your excitement and your appreciation for all things cross-stitch. So flosstube, YouTube, gives me a place to at least share that and know that a few people, a handful of others out there, are able to look and see what is giving me so much pleasure. And I appreciate that. Thank you very, very much. I will probably be back on the third Sunday of next month. I can't make any promises. My plans always seem to change. But thanks for watching. Have a great month. Stay healthy, stay well, and enjoy your stitching. Bye-bye.